include a variety of technical work. And of course, this is catered to who you are, where you are, what you need, etc., etc. So there are basic various things. For example, scales, arpeggios, slurs, that sort of thing. I also note that there's a variety of within each of those categories. For example, you can play a scale. If I were to just, you can play a simple scale like all in one position, or you can play a scale that shifts. So those are two different kinds of scales, and they both have a good thing for you. You got a question?
What's the purpose of learning the scale?
Okay. Well, for one thing, it's warm up, but for another thing, it's learning it's a physical thing. To me, scales are physical. It's not so much for like learning to read and that sort of thing, because that's another area. But it's muscle memory. It's learning the shaping and the spacing all the way through the guitar, those kinds of things. Learning how to play a line that's smooth and connected, those kinds of purposes. Okay. So those are different. Likewise, there are arpeggios that, for example, you can do an arpeggio up and down in one position, or you can do an arpeggio that shifts. Two different kinds, So you have, I'll do like the Villalobos example, where you have this number one, and then you have that kind of an arpeggio. Those are different arpeggios that also have different purposes. So some things are for practicing shifting, some are for moving up and down in one position that's good, and those are different purposes. So the variety, I think, is a really good thing. Different kind of slurs and so forth. So connecting this back to the previous thing about routine, what I like, for me, for example, is I really like the first three Villalobos etudes for myself. It covers a lot of ground. It covers arpeggios in single positions, arpeggios shifting up and down. It covers all these slurs. I really like that. I also play a variety of scales and that sort of thing. And so those are some of the things that I like to do routinely that kind of maintain me to where I am. If you're not at an advanced level, you're probably not doing the first three Villalobos etudes. You may be doing something else. But that's for you to figure out with your teacher, who I might call your coach and advisor, rather than your teacher, because you're really the teacher. You're the one in charge. Okay, so there you go, into number 6. Maybe you're practicing to address your weaknesses. What do you need to really work on? Are you good at shifting? Are you good at legato, connecting things? Are you good at reading? All various aspects. So there are different aspects. So see what you can do to tailor where you're going. And the next point is something I actually already talked about. The frequency is important, I think. I remember back in early years, I was scared to death to miss practicing. Like I couldn't go on a vacation for a week and not practice. But I think there's a little something to that, because I think all along frequent working with it is a really good thing. The physical body really responds to that. Okay. The next one, I heard this from a physical therapist one time on the radio. Musicians are athletes of the small muscles. These little things. And it's not, that's not, musicians don't do that, but they sure do a lot of this, or whatever it is. But in one sense, it is an athletic kind of endeavor. Do you consider yourself in training, like an athlete? that's kind of how, in a way, how I see myself. Although there's some very distinct differences, and I'm going to go through that here in a minute. But the coordination, the agility, the skill of operating these little joints and tendons and muscles and all that kind of thing is an important thing. You have to be very clear and careful about what you're doing because it is a very highly skilled activity. I guess that's not news to anybody. However, it is not no pain, no gain. So unlike maybe other things, this isn't the gym. So it's not that kind of athletic thing. It's a very micro world of athleticism. Don't play for pain. Don't continue or whatever. If something is in pain, that's a red flag. Something's going off. Something's wrong. More elbow grease is not the answer. Don't do that. So it's definitely not the more you do it, the better you're going to get. No, that's not going to work. However, it is, like I said, it is an athletic kind of a thing in terms of skill, agility, coordination, synchronization, that kind of thing between the two hands. Those are all, in a sense, athletic kinds of things. And it's important to have that kind of awareness. Don't skimp on or skip warm-up, especially in the winter time. And I have known people who have hurt themselves by trying to do something too hard, too fast, too soon. It can happen. Then they have to lay off for a few days or whatever. Okay? But it's also, you need to be doing this technique work anyway or whatever. Start out your practice slowly, work your way up, get warmed up. These little muscles that you're an athlete of need warming up. They need to be gradually warmed up. And I tell you, it's becoming even more important as I've gotten older. I don't think I have as great a circulation into my hands as I used to, and I got to do even more. And in the winter, I'm wearing these fingerless gloves. I've performed with those things on, and because I'm do everything I can to be properly warm in the hands. It's important to do that. Okay, now we're getting into some more nitty-gritty. One of my favorite expressions: all notes are not created equal. Some are more difficult than others. Some are more important than others. Practice disproportionately. Okay, so that means every piece you ever play, there's going to be some places that are going to be more difficult than others. Because a composer doesn't write music saying, I'm going to make everything just equally in difficulty all the way through. Believe me, that's not on their mind. What's on their mind is creating music. Now, how you can then produce that is your job, your business. Okay, but there are going to be places that are always going to be a lot harder than others. Those places deserve more of your time. If something's 10 times more difficult, then give it 10 times more of your time. So that by the time you're performing something, or by the time you finish working on something, everything sounds equally competent.